Welcome to the Pixels and Projects podcast. Today's episode, we're going to discuss the ever-changing role of the project manager.
Okay, so here's the thing. For decades, the role of project managers, PMs, has been thought of as, well, pretty mechanical. You know, scheduling projects, ticking boxes, following up on overdue deliverables. It's the classic notion of a facilitator. That's where the mold needs to break.
Yeah, like people don't usually think of them as leaders, but more like administrators.
Exactly, and don't get me wrong. Those organizational skills are foundational, but they're only the beginning. Emma Reynolds, in her book Beyond Coordination, really nails it when she describes the project manager as someone who has to cast a compelling vision. It's not just about keeping the trains running, it's about inspiring the people on the train to see where that ride is actually going.
Oh, I love that metaphor. Inspiring people rather than just making sure the itinerary's in place. That's where the value is, isn't it?
Absolutely. And think about this. When a project manager positions themselves as a visionary rather than just a facilitator, everything changes. The team aligns more naturally to the project goals, and you start to see outcomes that go beyond what you'd expect just from a well-organized plan.
You've seen that firsthand, haven't you? Like in your early tech years?
I have. One story in particular sticks with me. Back when I worked in tech during the mid-90s, there was this high-profile product overhaul. The team was struggling, not because they didn't have the technical chops, but because no one understood why the project actually mattered. So I decided to walk them through the bigger picture, how the product could completely redefine how our customers interacted with our systems.
Okay, so you shifted their mindset, right?
Right. Suddenly, instead of it being, oh, geez, we've got to work this weekend to fix bugs, it became, all right, let's roll up our sleeves because we're building something people are really going to care about. When the team started seeing the narrative behind the work, productivity soared, and the end result? A groundbreaking leap ahead of competitors.
Wow. So it wasn't just about the schedule, it was about the spark, helping people connect to the project emotionally, right?
Exactly. That's where Emma's insights come into play, especially around vision. It's not about throwing out all the logistical tools, but rather layering a strategic purpose on top of them. When you do that, you stop being just a task manager. You become a real leader.
Well, yeah, and to me, it's about balancing those tools with storytelling, giving people a reason to care about what they're doing and where their work fits in the bigger picture.
All right, let's dive deeper into that idea of storytelling as a leadership tool. We've talked about how creating a compelling vision can inspire a team, but storytelling is what really brings that vision to life. Take Sarah Chen, for example. When she took over that failing transformation project, she could have focused only on reworking schedules or reallocating resources, but instead she did something far more impactful.
Oh, the financial services case, right, where she interviewed stakeholders.
Exactly. She spent time really listening to what success looked like for each stakeholder, and what she discovered changed everything. The project wasn't failing because of technical issues. It was because people didn't see how it connected to their daily work or the company's future vision.
So it wasn't about the project itself. It was the disconnect from the big picture.
Exactly, and here's the brilliance of what she did. She created a narrative, a story about how this digital transformation project wasn't just a collection of tasks, but a major shift in how they'd serve customers. She positioned the team as trailblazers for the company's future.
Trailblazers. I love that. That's got to be such a big motivation for them. Like, instead of just doing their job, they're part of something bigger.
It was. That simple act of reframing got everyone aligned. And here's the kicker. Within 6 months, that failing project became the blueprint for other departments. Sarah's leadership wasn't just about fixing a broken project. It was about inspiring belief in what the team could achieve together.
You see, this is what more project managers need to hear. It's not just about, getting things done. It's about creating that emotional connection.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Once you have that alignment, the technical execution becomes so much smoother. People aren't just complying because it's their job. They're engaging because they believe in the outcome. That alignment, driven by a story, turns a fragmented effort into a unified mission.
And it's not just internal teams, right? That kind of vision can also bring in external partners. Like if they see how their contributions fit into that narrative, they're going to feel connected too.
Exactly. That's a key part of leadership, knowing how to bridge those gaps between your team and external players. Sarah didn't just align her team, she used that vision to win over the stakeholders who were ready to pull the plug on the project.
Oh, that's powerful. It's like when you can inspire people inside and outside the team, it transforms everything.
It really does. And at the heart of it is this ability to link the small day-to-day efforts to something monumental. That's where storytelling as a leadership tool shines. So building off that idea of storytelling and alignment, let's pivot into some of the key skills project managers need to really excel as leaders. And I'm not just talking about checking boxes here. It's about developing a mindset that focuses on strategy, change, and connection.
Yeah, strategy, change, and connection. Those feel like big shoes to fill, don't they?
They can be, sure, but here's the thing. Once you start focusing on these areas, it becomes less about doing everything perfectly and more about the way you approach the work. Let's start with the first one, strategic alignment.
Oh, connecting the project to the bigger picture, right?
Exactly. It's about understanding how the project fits into the overall business goals. For example, instead of saying, hey, here's a launch date we need to hit, a leader says, here's how this project will help the company achieve X, Y, and Z. By doing that, you engage stakeholders on a whole different level.
Yeah, that gives people more to, hold on to besides deadlines. It's the why behind the what.
Perfectly said. And you see, when people understand the why, they're far more motivated. Research, like McKinsey's latest findings, shows that teams with leadership-focused project managers see a 25% boost in success rates. That's huge.
Wow, 25%? That's no small number. Makes you think about going back and rethink how you frame your project goals.
It's definitely worth thinking about. Now let's talk about change management, another big one. If you're leading any kind of transformation, you're responsible for steering people through the chaos.
Oh, for sure. And that's not easy. People, they're kind of resistant to change, right? It's human nature.
Absolutely. And that's where a good leader stands out. They don't just manage resistance, they guide their teams with confidence. It's about drawing that line between understanding people's anxieties and still pushing forward with the big picture goals.
Kind of like being the calm in the storm, huh? Tough balance to strike.
It is, but it brings us to the last piece, which ties everything together. Communication. If you can communicate effectively, you bridge gaps. You rally people behind your ideas.
Right. And I remember David Silverman talking about this in his course. Balancing assertiveness with humility. It really resonates.
Exactly. Effective communication isn't about dominating the conversation. It's about listening, asserting when it's needed, and having the humility to pivot if you're off course. That's what leadership presence is all about. It's confidence tempered by an openness to adapt.
I love that balance. It's like owning your space, but also bringing people alongside you. That takes practice, for sure.
It does. And when you bring these three competencies together, strategic alignment, change management, and effective communication, you really set yourself apart as a leader. You move beyond just managing projects to shaping entire outcomes. Now that we've explored strategic alignment, change management, and communication, let's bring it all together with some key takeaways for transforming how you lead in project management.
All right, what's first on the list?
First, reframe your role. Stop thinking of yourself as just a task coordinator. When you position yourself as a strategic leader, you shift how others see you and the impact you can have.
Right. Like, ditch the just a project manager mindset. You're shaping outcomes, not just chasing deadlines.
Exactly. It's a shift in perception, and it starts with you redefining your own role and value. Next, align with the big picture. Show everyone how your project fits into the broader organizational goals. That clarity can increase your influence and rally people around the project.
Oh, for sure. People love to see how their work ties into something bigger. It's motivating,
It absolutely is. And that leads into the third point. Inspire through vision. Don't be afraid to bring storytelling into your leadership toolbox. Create that compelling narrative about why this project matters, who it's for, and how it'll change things.
Ooh, that's the one that sticks with people. Stories create connections, and connections drive action.
Exactly. And finally, build your leadership presence. Practice communicating with confidence, whether you're addressing your team or presenting to stakeholders. Be assertive, but adaptable. That balance shows that you're in control and willing to learn, which earns trust.
Yeah, it's all about vibes, right? Like how people feel about you as a leader can make or break their trust in the project.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Leadership presence is as much about perception as it is about action. So, here's my challenge to everyone listening. Take one of these ideas and try it on your next project. Maybe it's aligning your team to a bigger purpose or telling a clearer story about your project's impact.
Oh, I love that. Start small, see how it feels, and build from there.
Exactly. Remember, becoming a visionary leader isn't about overnight perfection. It's about taking deliberate steps toward developing those skills and mindsets, one project at a time.
And with that, we're wrapping things up for today. This has been such a fun topic, uplifting and empowering. Remember to share this episode with others. Sign up for our free newsletter for great articles covering topics like this, and let us know how you envision leadership in your role.
And to everyone out there, thanks for joining us for another Pixels and Projects podcast. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next episode.